Hey guys, welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles! Resolve. In the last episode, we found something new in about Genshin-san. So this is Genshin-san's ring. And we used that to establish that the autopsy report that was written down by Professor Mikotoba, but actually dictated by Dr. John H. Wilson, was kind of fabricated. And we came to the conclusion that might be the case. So right now we do have, Lord Strongheart said, yeah, but if that's the case, why would he just take the blame? Why would Genshin-san just take the blame? Why would he possibly stay silent? And right now we do have to present evidence, and I think that the dismissal notice of Mr. Vigil is actually the evidence we need, because it says aiding and abetting the escape from this prison of a convict, Genshin Asogi, most likely just prior to his execution. So I think that Genshin-san actually devised the plan to get out of prison, because he knew that that evidence was going to be fabricated and that he was going to be found guilty. And the only way to escape was through devising a plan and escaping prison. And that is what I think. So I don't know if it's right. I'm just gonna present the dismissal notice here. So let's go.
Take that!
It's true that Genshin Asugi's silence during his trial resulted in his conviction. But that didn't actually lead to his execution. On the contrary, it led to his escape. An escape that was only possible because he'd been sentenced to death. Although I find it hard to believe my father would have negotiated in that way, the defense is correct. A fake execution, falsification of a death certificate, and a jailbreak inside a coffin. Clearly such an elaborate plan couldn't have been carried out by my father alone.
He must have had the help of a collaborator from the judiciary.
I have here the dismissal notice of the chief warder who was working in the prison at the time. The notes read, there are indications that the jailbreak was in planning prior to the inmate's incarceration. In other words, there were suggestions of some sort of negotiation between Mr. Asugi and the British government. In exchange for his silence in court, he was given an assurance that he would be broken out of prison. Yes, with that sort of clandestine agreement in place, I can imagine he would have kept very quiet. I would go further than that, in fact. I would say that the elaborate jailbreak of Mr. Asugi can be explained in no other way. Order, order! First fabricated evidence and now jailbreak conspiracy? Of course, because it's all intimately linked. The prosecution wishes to summon new witnesses to the stand. Witnesses? People who can testify about the jailbreak that took place 10 years ago. Oh, Governor Caden and the poor chief warder of the prison. I won't allow this trial to turn into a farce. To summon the governor of the prison after all these years.
Oh, it wouldn't be any trouble, my lord.
What?
Father! My dear friend may appear a little rattle-pated at times, but I can assure you he is extremely thorough. He wired both Barclay at the local prison earlier, asking Governor Caden and Mr. Vigil to attend the Old Bailey as a matter of extreme urgency.
Mr. Shams did that? Are you telling me that?
Both men are, unless I'm much mistaken, waiting just outside the courtroom at this very moment.
My lord, you must permit this trial to proceed as you declared at its outset. You promised that we would stop at nothing to uncover the whole truth behind these disturbing findings. Very well. Bring in the witnesses. Make no mistake, I too would like nothing more than to lay this business to rest once and for all.
Ooh.
Okay. Oh, there they are!
Would the new witnesses state the names and occupations for the court, please?
I, Barry Caden, Governor of Barclay Prison.
Everyone calls me Gossip.
Everyone calls me Gossip.
Your other persona, if you don't mind? Oh, I do beg your pardon. Of course. My name is Daily Vigil. I used to be the chief warder at Barclay Prison. The reason you've been summoned here to court today is to testify about the jailbreak of the so-called professor 10 years ago.
Gosh, the professor! We've already been through all this before, a decade ago. And the conclusion was that there wasn't anything untoward happened.
A convict escaped from your prison, Governor. Hardly what you'd call nothing untoward.
Oh, well...
The convict's death certificate was somehow falsified after he was allegedly executed, and he escaped the prison inside his own coffin. A plan of that complexity could never have been carried out without the help of somebody of influence inside the prison. Governor Caden, don't imagine that the passage of time will afford you any protection. If it turns out that you were involved in the plot to break Mr. Asugi out of your prison, then of course, the consequences will be very serious. In all likelihood, a capital punishment.
Guards, hold on there, laddie. All that he was... Witness, Governor Caden. Aye, sir.
You have a critical role to play in the public safety of our country, a great responsibility to shoulder. The significance of your testimony in court cannot be understated. Therefore, think carefully before you speak. And Prosecutor Asugi, if you threaten the witness again, you will be held in contempt of court.
My apologies, my lord.
There's no disputing the fact that an intricate jailbreak plot was enacted 10 years ago. Clearly, you were both involved in some way. So you will testify before the court now and explain exactly what took place. Very well. Let the witnesses give their formal testimony. Tell the court everything you know of the plot to break Asugi out of Barclay 10 years ago. Ooh, alright guys, the witness testimony. Here we go, the jailbreak plot.
It was the day that Japanese jock was found guilty. The directive came from the prosecutor's office. I signed the convict to the chief warder Vigil here and put the plan into action behind the scenes.
I was responsible for Asugi right up until the night of his execution, but I knew nothing of any plot.
I didn't care if there was some negotiations between the convict and the prosecutor's office. All I did was carry out my duty for Her Majesty's Great British Empire.
Uh-huh. If you say so, Mr. Caden. A directive from the prosecutor's office? Are you saying that was the jailbreak plot?
Aye, that's right.
Who sent it? Who authorized that plan? Sorry, guys.
I did not ken that.
You're saying you don't know?
Listen, there was nothing about the professor case that was not unusual in some way. I did not ask any questions. I just did what I was told to do. More than that, I could not tell you.
I see. But if the jailbreak plan originated from the prosecutor's office, then one thing is very clear. As suspected, there were clandestine dealings going on between Mr. Asugi and that office. The jailbreak was promised in exchange for Mr. Asugi admitting to crimes he didn't commit. That, counsel, is nothing more than speculation on your part. So, let me ask the defense. Oh, yes, my lord. I fail to see how these witnesses have any more pertinent information here. Do you intend to assert your right to a cross-examination? Absolutely. I have no intention of squandering a single opportunity, my lord. It seems all you Japanese are fiercely and tenacious. Very well. Proceed, counsel. Alright guys, here we go. Cross-examination. The jailbreak plot.
It was the day that Japanese jock was found guilty. The directive came from the prosecutor's office.
Hold it! And you say you don't know who actually issued the directive?
Aye, that's right. All I can be sure of is that it was official.
But if it was from the prosecutor's office, that narrows down who could have issued it straight away.
And it wasn't me.
I cannot even say with certainty that it didn't originate from the prosecutor's office.
What?
There's no telling where it started. There's a fair chance it came from higher up the ladder. Basically, I cannot give you any indication of who was behind it.
You can't be serious. All we can say for sure is that the order must have come from somebody in authority, I suppose.
The likes of us on the ground, as it were, didn't bother with idle speculation. We just gathered your door. I signed the going to the chief order originally and put the plans of action behind the scenes.
Hold it! So, Mr. Vigil, you didn't know anything about it at all?
That's right. My only role in the scheme was as scapegoat. That's right, isn't it, Governor?
Some poor beggar had to take the rap for it.
Alright then. Who else did know about the plan?
I've not the first idea that it. My part of the whole business was basically just to deal with the aftermath. But wouldn't I be surprised if there were other folk in the prison service who'd been given similar orders?
So you don't know who else was involved?
Aye, that's right. All I can tell you is that the night it actually happened, the person at the brains was Dr. Stevens.
Dr. Courtney Stevens? Or Dr. Scythe as she's known now?
Why did I have to get caught up in such a terrible business? I was responsible for Asuka right up until the night of his execution, but I knew nothing of any plot.
Hold it! Did you not notice anything unusual happening in the lead up to that night?
Oh, everything was unusual, exception after exception. After all, it was the professor. The man had terrorized the country as never before with his crimes. In order to hide his identity, he was forced to wear an iron mask over his head.
Hideous treatment.
The fellow was surprisingly docile for someone who'd taken the lives of 5 of the country's nobles.
Being the chief warder, I was the only person permitted to approach his cell. I can still hardly believe that I was duped by my own country.
I believe you jumped from the window of the governor's office when the jailbreak was blamed on you, didn't you?
Gosh, Vigil, can't I apologize enough?
No, Governor, I don't believe you can. It won't change what's happened.
And what else can you tell us about the situation, Governor Caden?
I did not care if that was some negotiations between the conduct and prosecutor's office.
Hold it! But you've already acknowledged that orders came from the prosecutor's office to arrange for the man's escape. There must have been some sort of negotiation. It's the only explanation.
Aye, well, be that as it may, I did not care nothing about that. The witness stand is no place for telling what I don't know for sure. I can that much. I do.
Then I presume you also know this. Not telling what you do know is a criminal offense. So you were just following orders, is that it? I'm afraid that won't absolve you of guilt here. A man was still killed illegally even if he was a condemned criminal. You may very well be found complicit in murder, Governor. So that's what it's to be, is it? Even with the threat of conviction, you won't break your silence.
All I did was carry out my duty for His Majesty's Great British Empire.
Hold it! Did you carry out the plan in its entirety?
I did everything I could at the time.
As you know, Genshin was shot dead in the Lowgate Cemetery after the escape. Tell me, was that part of the plan too?
My instructions were to do with getting the jog out of the jail in Northern Moon. I cannot tell you everything about what happened after that. Personally, I believe his death was the last part of the plan.
Uh-huh. Interesting. So let's pursue. Mr. Vigil, is something wrong?
Yes, sir. What can I do for you, sir?
Sorry guys, I have to take a sip here. He's saluting now? What is it, some sort of Barclay convention? What Governor Caden was just saying seemed to upset you. Did it bring something to mind, perhaps?
For the last 10 years, I've completely blotted out the memories of that time from my mind. I was betrayed by my superiors in the name of my country.
Just as my father was betrayed, it seems.
But you see, thinking back now, I really can't imagine that the shooting of Mr. Asugi in the cemetery was ever part of the plan.
What makes you think that?
Well, it just doesn't make sense, does it? To make the man admit to crimes he didn't commit with the promise of a jailbreak, only to kill him in the end. That's treachery of the worst kind. But the point is, if the intention was always to betray him, why would there be any need for all the chicaneries of an escape?
Ah! Yes, that's quite true.
If whoever negotiated with Asugi never intended to keep his or her end of the bargain, it would have been far simpler just to let the man be executed in prison, as dictated by his sentence.
It all happened in that vast chamber of secrets that is Barclay, behind the high prison walls. I suppose nobody knows what really went on in the execution room now. Yes, it's an unsettling mystery, certainly.
Truth be told, there is a weird matter that's never quite made sense to me. If you believe there was some kind of negotiation behind the jailbreak, that's when also get a body at the top. He does not quite add up, does he?
Governor Caden, I must insist that you explain these doubts that you have. By amending your formal testimony.
God, I go on then. It seems to me that the Japanese fella did not have nothing to bargain with.
Okay, so this is so we're gonna press again, of course. Admitting to the crimes, that was what he had to bargain with, surely.
I cannot see that myself. After all, in the prosecution that I have conclusive evidence against the Collier.
This, you mean, discovered during the final victim's autopsy. There's every possibility this conclusive evidence was fabricated by Scotland Yard and the prosecutor's office.
Objection!
Possibilities are all very well, but nothing has been proven. You can holler about misconduct in the trial 10 years ago all you like. But if you can't establish that it happened with hard evidence, no one's going to listen.
That's right. So what I'm saying is, the convict had nothing he could use for any kind of bargaining at all.
The witness is making an astute point. Logically, it would seem no negotiation could have taken place.
And yet the plan to break the man out of prison was definitely put into practice. So he must have been armed with something that gave him an angle to negotiate. So Asugi-san agreed to confess to the crimes because he was assured he'd been broken out of prison later. I really don't think that Kazuma-sama's father would have engaged in such negotiations. Then perhaps something compelled him to agree. What a terrible thing, using the law to legitimize such underhand dealings with a desperate man, only to double-cross him in the end. It's quite the opposite of justice. I can't help feeling there's something about this parent negotiation that doesn't quite add up. Something doesn't quite add up, Mr. Naruhodo? No, it doesn't. But I can't quite put my finger on what yet. Well, in that case, we must keep digging until we identify the problem. Well, the thing is, it must be this statement, right? It has to be this statement here. And since it's this statement here, let's just go into. I'm just thinking too much, but the thing is, he didn't have anything to bargain with. What about the papers, though? Hereby request upon my death, any and all material possessions and wealth belonging to me in London be delivered to my son Kazuma Asugi in the Empire of Japan. It is with deep sadness that I accept my fate in this foreign land and the knowledge that I will never see my homeland or family again. But I regret nothing about my chosen path. Can it be anything else, though? He had nothing to bargain, but I mean, you could bargain with a ring, right? You could bargain with a ring. You can't bargain with that. You can't bargain with this. This... can you bargain with a sword? I mean, can't bargain with this. Can't bargain with this. Nothing of these things. He can't bargain with any of these things because they are part of Gregson's case. The only thing that comes to mind is either the ring, but he's not in possession of the ring. And the other thing is Karuma. And the last thing is the Asugi papers. And he said it was the only weapon I have left. So, okay. I have no clue how this is connected, guys, but we're gonna pursue this. Sorry, guys. Confessing under oath to murders, he didn't commit on a verbal assurance of later being broken out of prison. Genshin Asugi was taking an incredibly risky gamble. Very true. There was nothing to stop the British breaking the word and executing him behind closed doors anyway. Under normal circumstances, no man would stake his life on a gentleman's agreement like that. Which means that Mr. Asugi must have had a trump card. Something that guaranteed he wouldn't be betrayed. Some kind of weapon.
Havers, the fella couldn't possibly have had anything like that.
But you know that he did, Governor. The Asugi papers, the name given to the last will and testament of Genshin Asugi.
Oh!
It turns out that Mr. Asugi is hiding his will in his cell at Barclay. Chief Warder Vigil caught him with it one day.
You squealed, didn't ya? You wee rat! Did I not tell you to keep that a secret?
You can't touch me now.
Oh!
When Mr. Vigil caught sight of that will through the bars of the convict cell, Mr. Asugi pleaded with the warder.
All right then, but what's on that paper?
A last will and testament. This will is the only weapon I have left now.
A weapon?
And after the convict had been killed following the elaborate pretense of the jailbreak, that document mysteriously disappeared, didn't it?
Well, yes. All the prison warders searched through the belongings in his cell, but the will was just nowhere to be found.
As I understand it, an exhaustive search was made for the document, which became known as the Asugi Papers. Governor Caden, I believe you ordered your prison staff to find it at all costs, didn't you?
Oh!
Would I be right in saying that you knew? You knew that the so-called Asugi Papers had the potential to make great waves somehow.
Oh, James, for the blazes I am leathery bird. But the will was found, right and proper, in the fellow's cell where it said it would be.
But how can that be? Where is his cell? We all searched the place from top to bottom.
Well, you did not do a proper job, how you petty wally college?
You can't just criticize me now.
I showed it to you before, did I know? You're a lawyer.
Yes, you did. I have the document here. It's written in Japanese and reads, "The Last Will and Testament of Genshin Asugi."
Which means everything is as it should be.
Not quite, my lord. You see, there's an undeniable inconsistency here.
What? What inconsistency?
Mr. Asugi described this document as the only weapon he had left. And yet, this will contains nothing of significance at all. Nothing that would have given the convict any leverage.
Are you suggesting, my learned friend, that the lost will and testament stored at Barclay Prison all these years is actually a fake?
As has clearly been demonstrated already, what went on at Barclay Prison was far from above board.
That last vilification by the defense was an affront to the entire British legal system. This absurd notion of a weapon is something for which we have only the former Chief Warder's word. The man could quite easily be lying, or at the very least, sorely mistaken.
What? No! I definitely heard him say that. I swear!
Clearly, we need to get to the bottom of this. We need to know exactly what happened with these so-called Asugi Papers.
A waste of time. If the will was fake, where is the real document?
Objection!
Mr. Vigil was stabbed in the back by the judiciary 10 years ago. He lost everything, very nearly his own life. And now you're going to do it again. You're ready to brand him a liar and turn your back on him without even letting him defend himself.
It's clear that Barclay Prison is hiding something.
It's clear that the jailbreak was masterminded by somebody in the prosecutor's office.
It's clear that some illicit negotiations took place. Is your lordship just going to gloss over?
What did you say?
We should hear more from the Chief Warder. Have him testify again. The trial must go on. The man's voice must be heard.
It would seem that the local few here are utterly blind to the truth. Very well then, let the witness testify again. Tell the court precisely what you think you saw of the convict's last will and testament.
Yes, sir, my lord.
Witness testimony. The Asogi papers. But guys, we are reaching the half-hour mark quite significantly. So if you want to know what Mr. Vigil remembers of the Asogi papers, you'll have to tune in next time for the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Resolve. See you then.